Hello my friends and welcome back to Kev's Hobby Showcase. I'm of course Kevin. You may have also seen me on Tabletop Jones Productions where John and I are the two idiots playing board games. And today I'm going to be doing the part 3 of my mini painting series, House Davion part 3 of course. Where so the first part I did a lance of battle mechs, the second one I did a lance of tanks. So next is, and I have to hold them up all at once, the battle armor infantry. As you can see, so there's 6 of them here. Six of them here, and the reason for that is, now here's the thing: when you buy the package, there's 4, but when you look at the data sheets, there's 6 squads. So if you want to have a full platoon, like I do, then you got to use from 2 packages. You know, use all of one and half of another. So eventually I got to get all of one again so I could have a full platoon for a different faction, because that is going to be coming up at some point. I will be, basically it's going to be called reinforcing. I'm going to be coming up with more, you know, I'm going to be putting together more lances and eventually getting more vehicle packs and of course, you know, the battle armor to build up other factions, mercenary companies, possibly even doing more for the clans. I mean, the elementals, which is their infantry, come out with 5, which is exactly what you need. The one thing that I haven't done yet for the clans is vehicles. I know from the lore or from the literature, they don't always use vehicles, but it's good to have. You know, I'm gonna look it up because I might actually be wrong on that. But anyway, so as you saw, I mean, these are fresh out of the box, so they still need to be primed, and I'll be doing that next. And it's nice and sunny today, so I will be doing that outside as long as the bees don't get me. All right, so stay tuned, and I will be right back. All right, I'm back, and I'm gonna prime these little tiny infantry people. All right, not really gonna take long. That's all it took, actually. Oh, wait, I'm not. All right, very short bursts. Okay, just got to get all 6 of them. Try not to get too much on them. And as you can see, I'm still using the black primer. And by saying "whoops" just now, only means that I sprayed my fingers instead of the actual piece, which is a good thing I use these latex gloves. Alright, and there we go. Alright, so as you can see, with them being as small as they are, it doesn't take very long. So we're going to let this dry, and then when we're done, I'm going to start doing base coats. So stay tuned, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back, and the primer on this battle armor is dried, and we're going to start doing the base coat. Now, because these pieces are very, very small, this is not going to take long. At least it shouldn't. Matter of fact, the longest part is probably going to be choosing where I put the black, white, and red stripe, or if I can at all, put it on these pieces later. Alright, so let's get this pointed down. Okay. Alright. Yeah, so like I said, this isn't going to take long. In fact, you know, I mean, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry for the long pause there. Yeah, in fact, it's going to be relatively quick. Yeah, when the pieces are this small, they do go a lot quicker. I mean, like, whoops, dang it. Well, that's one peril of them being that small, is that sometimes they will fly out of your fingers, especially if you've got fat fingers like mine, and go on and fall to the floor. But luckily it didn't go far. So yeah, just thinking about, you know, how, you know, like basically this whole video series for building up a Davion force, a House Davion force, is going to take 5 videos. So this is the third, of course, and so I'm going to break it down pretty much. So yeah, first one I did was a Lance of Battle Mechs. Second one I did was a Lance of Tanks. And that was the third one, doing the platoon of the battle armor. So after this, next week will be another Lance of Tanks, which will pretty much finish the package that I bought. I mean, it's actually a good thing the excuse me, the package that they, and I've noticed this in all of the vehicle options. You know, when I was looking at it on Amazon, they have 8 vehicles in there, which basically, you know, if you go by the way they build their forces in this game, is 2 lances. So it does give some good options there. But anyway, so like I said, next week is going to be Lance, you know, Lance of the tanks to finish up that one, and then the last one is going to be the other Lance of Battle Mechs that I have for this. And then that'll conclude building the Davion force. And I mean, I always wish I wish it could be soon, but you know, I'm going to be realistic. I don't know when it will appear on Tabletop Jones Productions, but it will at some point. You know, John and I have been talking about trying to, you know, catch up on, you know, and make up for the time that we lost. And the only reason we did lose time was because of work schedules. I mean, we don't just do this, you know, for a living. We do each have regular jobs, and sometimes it gets in the way. I mean, it's unfortunate for this, but it is unfortunately necessary for life. You know, maybe one day we'll get to the point where we will be doing just these channels for a living, but unfortunately, today is not that day. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, this is going pretty fast. And I'm not worried about getting paint on, at least on this part of the base, because it is, excuse me, it is eventually going to be covered in that grassland terrain that I have. And I've actually, I saw this on my Facebook feed. I've been looking at a site, Tabletop Gaming. They sell terrain, and the stuff looked pretty good. And they have stuff specific for this to use as, you know, for, you know, with the hex maps, you know, terrain for that. Okay, so as you saw, it didn't take very long. So basically, I wait for that paint to dry, and when we come back, I'm going to start doing details. You know, like I said, I got gunmetal for the weapons, and what looks like might be a visor, and then I'm going to try to do the blue, white, and yellow stripe. I really do want to get it on there because I want to have these things very distinctive. You know, very distinctly look, you know, unique, and you know, to this faction. So I'm going to definitely try to do that. I don't know how it's going to come out, but I'm going to give it a try. All right, so stay tuned, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back, and that base coat is now dry, so let's see how much we can get into the details. Alright, let's get started. Let's just get to it. Okay, so do the assembly line method. Start off with the gunmetal. Alright, so alright, so it looks like it's got a nice sized weapon on the arm. And these two, looks like these two things are mounted on the shoulders. Just try to get it as best I can. Okay. Okay. Alright, so yeah, when I was painting earlier, I did mention I did find a new and interesting site. It's actually called Tabletop. I forget if it's Tabletop Gaming or Tabletop Terrain, but yeah. I was looking at it, and for the specifically for Battletech, especially the hex maps, it does have like like terrain you could use. And what I mean by that, it's got it's almost like hex-sized blocks that you could use for when the elevation on a terrain changes. I have not been able to order anything yet. I don't know when I will be able to order anything. Hold on a sec. I don't know when I will be able to order anything from them. I have them saved in my favorites for when I am. What in the world? Yes, like I said, I have it saved in my favorites, or I don't know if it's on Google Chrome, so I guess it's called bookmarks. If I can get the lingo correct. And eventually I will, check it out. Yeah, so I mean, if you look hard enough, or sometimes, if you're on social media and you pretty much have your interests pretty well known, some stuff just, you can either find things or things will pop up. Because basically how I found this was one day I was on Facebook, I was looking through it. I do look through Facebook probably more than I should, especially when I'm bored. But anyway, all of a sudden, I see an advertisement, and I see that, and it actually showed one of the on the advertisements. Actually showed one of the sets for Battletech. I was like, oh, look at that! So I decided to check out the site, and I liked what I saw. I'm sure there's other things in that site. I didn't really look throughout the entire thing. I'm sure there's other things in there that are just as good for any for any game really, but it did kind of specify Battletech, so I will be using it mostly for that. I'll get that halfway done with this color at least. So one day. Unfortunately, today's not that day, especially since my overtime at work has been once again eliminated. Anyway, a lot of oh, I do apologize for any noises that you are hearing. I have my front door open to let some air in the house. So I don't know how much of my neighbors that you're hearing at the moment. I am fairly confident that they do not watch the channel. Alright, so this is going on a bit thicker, even though this is a thin brush. A bit thicker than I was hoping for. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do the red, white, and blue stripe. I don't know yet. I might do it on the leg. That might be like the only area where I can get to that. I'm not going to be like interfering with another area of these tiny models here. Okay. Like I said, I do apologize for the noise. Okay, getting close to being done with the gunmetal. And of course, once I'm done with the details, let it dry and get the labels and the basing done. And of course, the wash, which the wash will definitely not take, like a lot of time. So yeah, I am trying to get very specific areas of these models with these different colors, because eventually I'm going to be doing these for other factions, and I do want for the different factions, I do want them to like stand out as being different. Of course they'll be labeled, but I don't want the label to be the only thing distinguishing one platoon from another, Alright. Okay, that's it for that. Now, what I'm going to do, doing these stripes is going to be even quicker. At least it should be. Okay. So, gotta do this ever so do this ever so subtly. At least I'm trying to. Alright, so alright. Okay, this is actually, well, it's good and bad. It's going on better than I thought it would, but it's also going on a bit thicker than I would have liked. But, you know, working with a very, very small surface here. So it's not going to be, it's not going to look like it's in the same position on the legs. It is going to be a bit different on each of the four of each piece. All right, so yeah. Because one main theme that I've had so far with this force is these stripes that I'm attempting right now, which is why I really wanted to get them on this. Okay. Alright, that's it for the white. Okay. Let's go with the red next. And I am noticing that at some point I gotta make a little trip to Brown's Hobbies for some more paint. Okay, that's... Alright, so yeah, the red paint's giving me just a bit of trouble. Alright, but it's starting to go on. Okay. Sorry, I got quiet there. Just trying to concentrate and make sure this was coming out as good as I'd liked it, as I'd like it to. All right. All right, we're moving now. So after I do the red stripe on all 6 of these, yeah, after I do the stripes, going to take a break and let it dry for a little bit. Get ready to do labels and the bases. And like I always say, the labels are just for my benefit. It's not, you know, like a requirement of the game. You know, obviously, I just like to do that for identification reasons, so that I can easily find things, or more easily find things, you know, especially when, oh boy, that wasn't too much. You know, ooh, So yeah, like I said, so it's I could more easily find things, especially when I'm trying to put a game together. So as it stands now, when I do finally put a game of Battletech together, one of the main forces I will be putting together, of course, will be Davion, because I do have quite a bit. I actually, before I started doing the videos, I noticed that I did have kind of lances put together for it. So yeah. You know, so anyway, you know, like I said, I have lances put together for it already, so, and, you know, it was also, you know, when I was doing it, it was also kind of finding a match for a mech warrior to the mech that they're supposed to be in, and then basically kind of like filling in the blanks with battle mechs that I don't really have you know, that I don't really have mech warriors for. Okay. Well, it's not coming out perfect, but it will be distinct from other forces, I will say that. Alright, getting there. We're just over the halfway point for this color. Very soon, we'll be taking a break. Alright, one more to go. Okay. Okay. Sometimes the paint dries up on my fingers a lot faster than anything else. Okay, so as always, I'm going to get the labels ready. I'm going to put them on. I'll save one to do off camera. It's basically going to say House Davion on the front, and on the back it's going to say squad and whichever, you know, like 1 through 6, you know. So, so we got that. Going to do that. Going to do the basing, which is going to be in the grassland, just like it did for the others. And then, of course, it's going to be the wash. Now, like I said, these pieces are really, really tiny, so the wash is going to be like super quick. So I'll get it all done at once. All right, so stay tuned, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back, and as promised, I saved one of the labels to do now, and then we're going to start with the basing. All right, so let's get to it. Okay. Alrighty, I do apologize again for that noise outside. My neighbors are doing something, I don't know what, and it's quite frankly none of my business. Okay, that's the front part, now the back, and then we're just gonna, excuse me, get right into the basing. Okay. So this is the same one that I was using before with the other parts to this. So let me just one big glob in the middle. Let's see how well that works. Alright, spread it out as much as possible. Bring it all the way to the edge. Alright. Alright. Okay. A glob of the terrain on my finger. Alright, well, quite a bit of it got on the piece, so let's try it different on the next one. Okay. Try to get this as evenly spread out as I can, and to have the terrain actually cover the entire base. All right. All right. This time, I'm not going to go back in. I'm just going to accept what's there. Screw it. Okay. All right. That one didn't come out too bad. So let's try it like that again. Okay. Like I was saying before, just try to spread it out, cover every part of the base. And unfortunately, I'm getting a lot of this glue on my fingers. Alright, I actually need to grab a different napkin because the one I have is filled with all the cuttings of the labels, and now they're going all over my table. This is one good reason not to have the ceiling fan that's over this table on while I'm doing this. Because if it were, it'd be blowing that stuff all over the place right now. Alright. Wipe off the glob that keeps hanging off the edge of that. And the glob that's on my finger. Alright. Okay. Getting very close to being finished with this. once we're done with the basing, we're going to jump right into the wash, since it's really going to take like just like a couple of minutes to finish. Okay, two more to go. All right. As you can see, excuse me, from the amount of this terrain that's hanging off my fingers, I'm going to have to really give my hands a good washing when I'm done with this. All right. Okay. One more to go. Let me see if I can get some of the stuff off my fingers before I start that one. All right. All right. Oh, sorry, I've been quiet, but as you can see, this is something I really need to concentrate on. Okay. Oh, that's all that we need the terrain for. Okay. All right, so let's just jump right into the wash. Okay. I don't know how much of this is actually going to show up and look and give like its distinctive look, but I felt like I'd be remiss if I didn't put it on. Okay, and as I said, this is going very, very quickly. One thing I am going to do before I put this away is clean the brush, because I do believe it's going to need it, especially with all this stuff that's hanging off of these pieces. Alright, that's pretty much it for that. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so let me get them here. Okay, what's an army without infantry? Here we go. Battle armor for House Davion, ready to go. Okay, well, That's all I got for right now. Thank you. There we go. All right, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe this video and share it as much as possible. Also, go to Tabletop Jones Productions and do the same there. In this channel, I currently do have 34. I was setting a goal of 35 subscribers. I would like to reach 40, actually. It's always going to go up because, I want this channel to just keep on growing. So, so like I said, share it as much as possible. Anybody you think who might like it, or if you found this video, if it just popped up on your, on your YouTube feed, or if you've seen my reels pop up on your, Facebook feed, Instagram or TikTok, just, give me a look. All right, so you never know, you just might like it. And I do have other types of videos coming out, so there's going to be a variety. All right, so again, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was entertaining. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you again. Take care of yourself and have a great day.